Hello, how are you? Hope you're good. Hi, Alice. Is it possible to turn your camera on, please? Let me go and share my screen and put you here with that. Just a sec. So let's go here and I will share this. Present. And here we go. Perfect. You guys see this? Yeah, great. Okay. So we have been doing some rhythms every week. We've been learning about our note values, how the quarter note equals 1 beat, the half note equals 2 beats, the dotted half note is 3 beats, and the whole note is 4 beats. So these were the two practice ones we did last week. Let's go do this one, the third one here today. Okay, so we know that because the number of the time signature on top is a 2, it means that there's going to be 2 beats in every bar. So the bar is the space between the lines. So, or the measure. We can call it a bar or a measure. It means the same thing and both terms are acceptable. Okay, so here we're starting right off the bat with a half note. So we know our half note is going to be 2. So we're either going to do 1, 2, or you can do la, whichever you want. Only you hear yourself on your end, but I'd like you to do it with me. Okay, so I'm going to say the beats, okay, as I clap along. So here we go. We start after 2. Clap along with me. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we hold it. Very good. Okay, be careful that when you're doing 1, 2, you're not clapping twice here, right? Because there's only one note. So it's 1, 2, and you hold it. Okay, make sure you do that. Okay, let's look here. The second one. Well, the fourth one at the bottom. So here the top note is a 4. So that means that in every bar or measure, which is the space between the two bar lines, there are going to be 4 beats. So we're always going to count up to 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go from here, and we're going to start after 4. Okay, so if your notes need to be longer, just hold them together. Hold your hands together for it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Somebody clapped on 2. We don't clap on 2 because it's a half note because it goes la. So 1, 2. Okay, careful. Let's start that again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to do it with sound, okay? With doing the la, just so that you hear it, okay? So 1, 2, 3, 4. La, 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 la. Okay? So you can practice that a little bit this week if you'd like, okay? We saw last week that the staff was made up of 5 lines and 4 spaces. And we said that when we count the lines, we always start from the bottom going upwards. So line 1 is the first line at the bottom, and space 1 is the first space at the bottom. And it's important to know that because if you're working with other musicians or if your teacher says, hey, what's the note on the second line? You need to know that they're referring to this line, right? 1, 2, and not the one here. So 5 lines, 4 spaces. The notes can be placed on the lines. So when we say line notes, it means that the line is going through the head of the note. And we can also have space notes. That would mean that the note would be between 2 lines. So when the note is between the 2 lines, it's called a space note. And if we're drawing them, we make sure that we don't go over, we don't pass the lines to go over them, okay? So just be careful with that. We also learned about ledger lines. So ledger lines were lines that we could add either on top of the staff or below the staff to extend the staff, to make the staff either go lower if we're going to the bottom, or to make the staff go higher if we're adding at the top. So the notes would be higher. The higher up I go, the higher they're going to sound. The lower I go, the lower they're going to sound. So we can add the lines below and we can add the lines above. So 7 note names. So here we've got do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, and then do is a repetition. If you're doing letter names in your classes, which is very possible because in English there are 2 systems. So you've got C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. So C again is a repetition. Why do we have 2 systems like that? Well, really, the do, re, mi system is more of a European system. So it derives more from the French. And the ABC is more of an American system. So it comes more from the Americans, so the English, okay? So when I give English theory classes, I do both systems because I'm aware here that in Quebec, some of you that do music in school do music in French, and therefore you're using the do, re, mi system. And then sometimes if you're coming to music class, if you're taking your class in English, your teacher might have chosen, because of the books that you're using, to use the ABC. But both systems are very good, and you're going to learn to use both either way, okay? So, I mean, for me, personally, I don't have it. There's no difference for me to say a or la, because I've learned both systems, and you will also, okay? So just so you know that. So the treble clef tells us that the sounds are going to be high. It's placed on the second line of the staff. And on the second line of the staff, we have the note sol, or the G. That's why this clef here is also called the G clef. Okay, so it's placed on the second line. I've got some homework after that. You can practice these. And then the bass clef tells us the sounds are going to be low. It is placed on the fourth line. And you see where that big button is, and between the 2 dots, that's where my fa is, or my F. Okay, so the bass clef is also called the F clef because it indicates the note fa or F. So here we go with some new stuff, okay? That was all review up to now. But it's good to review because I think sometimes we forget a little bit what we saw. So the treble clef, which was for the high sounds, just like any staff, we can put the notes we set on the lines and the spaces. So if we're going to go step by step by step by step, it means we're going to place the notes line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, and we could keep going like that. We could even add ledger lines. As a matter of fact, the do here, middle do, C, is on a ledger line. And then you notice it's going line, space, line, space, line, space. So as long as you know how to say the names of the notes, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do, or C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, you should be able to find your notes by either starting with the C. So if you can remember that la note do, the do note, starts on that ledger line, and you need to go find a note way up here, then you can go line, space, do, re, mi, fa, sol, and count them. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, and count all the way up to the note that you need to find. You can start there. But another place to start, which is really easy, is to start on the sol, because you know that the treble clef tells us where the sol note is. The sol note is on the second line. So if you need to find a note way up here, why start all the way down on the do? You can start from sol, and already that would be easier. Okay, so if you're starting from sol, then you're just going to go up, do, and find that note. Okay, so that's one way to find your notes. I like to do it another way, okay, simply because I find it goes faster. So if we're going to write notes on the lines, so if I'm going line to line to line to line to line, that means I'm also doing skips. I'm not doing steps because I'm skipping over the note that's in the space. So here I've got my mi, sol, si, re, fa, or if I'm using letters, E, G, B, D, F. Now, I skipped over the fa because the fa would have been in the space. I skipped over the la because the la would have been in the space. So if you're doing French music in French at school, here's a cool way to learn this. I did it with a little, just kind of like a little, not a rhyme, but a little chant, okay? And I do this. Les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. Les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. Do it with me. Les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. One more time. Les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. The more you do it, the more that chant is gonna get into your mind, and then you're gonna be able to do this really quickly. If this is the way you do it. If you're learning the letter names, then I'm sure you've heard of this phrase or this sentence here. Every good boy deserves fudge. Every good boy deserves fudge. So that's one way to learn your notes. Every good boy deserves fudge. And we'll put that to the test after, okay? We'll see how to find those. If we're doing space notes, and I'm doing them in French, I've got a little sentence. Fais-la dormir. Make her sleep. Fais-la dormir. Fais-la dormir. Or fa-la dormir. Fais-la dormir. Fa-la dormir. If you're doing the letters, well, the letters spell face. F-A-C-E. So it spells the word face. So that's an easy way to do it. But of course, you still need to know where the re and the do are because they're not here. You see, we're starting with me. So there's still some notes down here that are not there. So you would have to remember that the do's on the ledger line and that the re is just above that. And then mi is where we're starting our lines. So this is an easy way to do it. Let's look at the bass clef now. So the bass clef, here we've got our middle do. Okay, so this do, or C, letter C, this do is the same as this one. It sounds exactly the same. It's at the same height. We would play it on the same place on our instrument using the same key, the same sound. And so what I've done is I've gone down from there. So C, B, A, G, F, E, D, C. So we've got a C here, and we've got another C, a lower sounding C over here at the end. So do, si, la, sol, fa, mi, re, do. And I've gone line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space, line, space. I've gone stepwise all the way down. So same thing like I did in my treble clef. If I know where my do is, and I go step by step by step by step, I can figure out what a note would be way down here if I want to do it that way. It's a little bit long, and sometimes I might make mistakes because it's, you know, by the time I get there, I might have made a mistake along the way. I might have gone from a line to a line, or I might have said a wrong note. So sometimes it's a little bit easier to make mistakes if you do it this way, but it's still a way to do it. However, I also know that my bass clef tells me where my fa note is. So maybe if I start from the fa, I could get a little bit closer to my notes, and that would make it easier. So I could either just go down step by step by step, or go up step by step by step up to the note that I need to find. So if I want to use my little chant like I did for treble clef, les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa, I would have to leave the mi out in bass clef. Why? Because the notes are not at the same place in bass clef and in treble clef. In treble clef, my first line is called mi, but in bass clef, my first line is called sol. It's a G. It's not the same. So let's do the chant here, but we're going to put a rest on the mi. So we're going to cover up for mi. And then we're going to say the other notes, and we're going to add the note la. So, les, ling, son, sol, si, ré, fa, la. Les, ling, son, sol, si, ré, fa, la. Les, ling, son, mi, sol, si, ré, fa, la. Try it with me. Okay, here we go. Les, ling, son, sol, si, ré, fa, la. Les lignes sont sol, si, ré, fa, la. Okay? Or if we're doing the letters, E, G, B, D, F, A, we're not going to put the E. The E is in our head. So for the sentence, every good boy deserves fudge, every has to be silenced. So every good boy deserves fudge always. Every good boy deserves fudge always, but the every, you don't place it on the staff. Every good boy deserves fudge always. So does this help? You'll see how we apply it after when we just have a bunch of notes we have to figure out. And then for the spaces, which was fais-la dormir, we've got fais-la dormir au sol. Because the fa would be saying in our head, la dormi, and we're adding sol. So, fais-la dormir au sol. Fais-la dormir au sol ta sœur. Fais-la dormir au sol ta mère. Fais-la dormir au sol ta petite chatte. Okay, so that all makes sense. So you could do it like that. And if you're doing the letters, so remember it was face. So F-A-C-E, so the F we wouldn't use, but it would be face is gorgeous. Face is gorgeous with a G. So face G. Okay? So that's how you would do that. And that's it. That's what we had to learn. Okay, now let's go apply what we had to do though. We're just going to do a little bit more just so we can apply what to do. So this week, okay, you can go into the student portal. So ask your parents, they should have a login for the student portal. Okay, which is, it's found through the website, and then they go to the place where the student portal, they click on that in the menu, and it brings you into this. So it's going to look somewhat like this. So let me just go get that for a second. I'm going to just log out of that, and I'm going to go into my student portal. Just a sec, okay? So here we go. So your student portal is going to look somewhat like this when you log in. It's going to be logged into the calendar. Okay, so your parents, you can show this part of the video to your parents after. So it's going to look like this, and it's going to have whatever classes you have. Here I have Estel's classes because it's her portal that I opened, okay? They're going to go into the menu, or you can go into the menu, and you're going to go down to Ressources en ligne, online resources, Ressources en ligne, and you click there, and these two folders come up. And so you're going to have a shared space, and you're going to have your teacher's space. Now, Estelle is my student. That's why my name pops up. Okay? But you would have you'd have the shared space and then your teacher's space. So you go into the shared space, and here you're going to see that there's some homework. Now, resources for guitar. If you don't play guitar, you don't need to go into that. Okay? It's just somebody put it there because they wanted to share it with, everybody in the school, but you don't have. But here we've got lecture de notes, all these. So this is all homework, not Silent Night. That must be like somebody put a piano part there or something to play Silent Night. You can go click on it. Look, see if I click on it, it's just going to give you something that you're not needing, but I'm still going to show you what it is. See, it's the notes to play Silent Night. Okay, so there's no mistake. You're not going to be making mistakes. But if you go to this and you go here, theory homework number 1. So click there. And you have the stuff in French of what we did, but just scroll down because you can do some rhythms here, right? Some exercises that you can do. We haven't done the eighth notes yet, but we're going to be doing them next time. And you've got this, la clé de sol. So here, this paper is really cool because it shows you how to do treble clefs. Remember I told you last week, oh, I'm going to show you how, I'm going to give you papers that are going to be a lot easier. So it just shows you how to start. So it says start from here and go around, and then you can go up and around and around. So you would just basically start there, and then they're giving you less and less of it. Okay, so that's just how to get started. And you've got it here. So once you start here, you know how to do it. So you can print these and work on them. So that's something that you can do. And here we've got our notes. Les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. If you know what they are, if you're using letters, just put it in. E, G, B, D, and F. Every good boy deserves fudge. And then here, face, or fais-la dormir. Now, when you get to this page, look, you have a bunch of notes, and you get to name them. So you can write your homework underneath and write what the names are. So for example, here we've got a note name, a line note in treble clef. Les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. Les lignes sont mi. It's on the first line. So you just stop there. Or here you've got the three lines. So les lignes sont mi, sol, si. Oh, that's a C. How about this note here? Try to figure out what this note is, and then I'll give you the answer. This one here, this on the last line. So so it's on the fifth line. So les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré, fa. It's a fa. Now, if you're doing Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge, let's try to do Every Good Boy Deserves Fudge with this one. Let's all try it, whether you do do, re, mi, or C, D, E. So every good boy deserves fudge. So this one's on the fourth line. So every good boy deserves, starts with a D. So this note is D. And if you're doing les lignes sont mi, sol, si, ré. It's a ré. So just go and write your note names at the bottom. Same thing for spaces. Who can tell me what the last space here would be? So the phrase is fais-la dormir, or it spells face. So what would this note be? Figure it out, and then I'm going to tell you what the answer is. You'll see if you're correct or not. So if we're doing letters, F-A-C-E, it would be an E, or fais-la dormir, mi. Fais-la dormir. So it's a me. Ah, I see happy faces. Okay, how about this note here? So let's do first the letter names. So it spells face. Spaces spell face, and we're in the third space. So F-A-C. So it's a letter C. But if it's do, re, mi, fa, sol, so fais-la dor, fais-la dor. Do. It's a do. Got it? Makes sense? Thumbs up if you understand. All right, good. So this is all homework you can do. And then here you can even go and write some in. Okay, and this is treble clef. It doesn't have homework there in bass clef. But there's more, right? You can go back, and there's other homeworks here that you could do. Okay, you can do lecture de notes piano, there's lecture de notes, you've got these ones, you've got these ones. So you have a bunch of stuff you could do.